So, I want to talk about Fight Club, specifically this scene. This scene is probably my favorite scene in Fight Club, and this is a movie full of brilliant scenes. It's hard to pick just one, but this one might be my favorite one because I think that it was the moment where I finally understood Tyler Durden's philosophy, like fully. Well, it finally clicked in my mind. And the reason is because of how well put together it was. So, in this scene, Edward Norton's character and Brad Pitt's character are sitting at a table. Brad Pitt takes Edward's hand, kisses it, and then pours some chemical powder on it. Now, this chemical powder starts eating into Edward Norton's hand, burning through his flesh. He's screaming. He falls on his knees. He's trying to yank his hand back. Brad Pitt's not letting him go. He ain't letting him go. He's looking at him and shaking him out of whatever fantasy illusion he's trying to hide himself in. Edward Norton is trying to flee from the pain. Now Brad is pulling him, slapping him, telling him, stay with it. This is the pain. This is your burning hand. It's right here, right in front of you. Deal with it. And it was a bit confusing as to what's going on initially. But Brad Pitt starts talking to Edward's character about God and how our fathers were our models for God. And if our fathers failed, then what does that tell you about God? And he goes on and on about this type of thing. And at my first time watching, I'm just so confused and, somewhat terrified because I don't know what is going on, right? So Edward Norton is trying to flee from the pain, trying to snatch his hand back. Brad's not letting it happen, but he keeps going on about God. He keeps on saying things like, you have to consider the possibility that God does not like you, that he never wanted you, or in all probability, he hates you. And once again, Edward Norton, he's just trying to get his hand back and trying to maybe run some water on it or something. And Brad Pitt sums it up basically saying, you can run water on it and make it worse, or you can neutralize it with vinegar. But you first have to let go. You have to know, not fear, know that someday you're going to die. And then Edward Norton's character looks at him and says, you don't know how this feels. And in perfect summation of this entire scene, Tyler Durden lifts his hand up, turns it over and shows his palm and shows the burn mark on his hand that he likely gave to himself. And then he places his hand on his cheek and gives Edward Norton's character an almost whimsical look and says, it's only after we have lost everything that we are free to do anything. And that moment right there is just beautiful. Of course, Edward Norton's character keeps his hand still and Tyler Durden pours it out with some vinegar. He falls to the floor. And then he delivers another brilliant line, which also, to me, sums up his belief. Congratulations. You're now one step closer to hitting rock bottom. And at this moment, it all became clear to me. Tyler Durden's his theology almost. His whole belief system is about letting go. It's very nihilistic, but it's basically about facing the things that are the scariest things in life. The biggest, most terrifying concepts. Think about them. Deal with them. Which is why he would not let Edward Norton's character run into his mind. It's why he wouldn't allow him to do it. It's why he kept slapping him and saying, "This is your burning hand. It's right here. You have to deal with this." He wouldn't allow him to run away from the scary things in life, from the things that hurt you the most. And as nihilistic and as psychopathic and destructive as Tyler Durden is, his philosophy is a brilliant one. And there are some truths in it, and where, yeah, you should deal with some of the most frightening things. You can't run away from these things. You can't not think about these things because they're scary. You have to deal with them. You have to let go. And that's his whole philosophy. The worst thing that you could probably imagine is that there is a God and that he hates you. Now, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to cower in a corner and cry? Or are you going to let this not matter? And this was the moment where Tyler Durden's philosophy just made sense to me. Not saying that he's not a destructive psychopath, but yeah, it made sense. But this scene here was just one of many brilliant scenes in a brilliant movie.